O'Brien, Olson, Hanson, and Gabler. Also our county commissioners, Commissioner Gamble and Commissioner Sullivan. We'll start with approval of the agenda. Is there extra?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Well, unfortunately, we have to add something to the agenda. We have to add a resolution 26-26, and what that would do is allow for us to actually convey the real property once we do receive it in the future from the city. If they approve such an action, then we'll be able to start the motion to get that conveyance between us and the developer, Arboda Lots LLC.
Well, with that amendment, is there a second to the agenda?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next item is opportunity for public comment. Only one member of the public here, and he has no comment. We'll move on to new business. Resolution 2625 approving a development agreement with a limited partnership managed by Vision for a 16-unit multifamily housing project in Grand Marais. Jeff, would you take us through the?
Yes, let me just, I want to share the agreement here, the developers agreement itself. Resolution 26-25 should be on the screen here momentarily as well. And so resolution 26-25 rather approves the development agreement that we have agreed on principle between Arboda Flats and Arboda Lofts rather LLC for 16 units multifamily housing project located at 1800.
Could you slow down and say that name again?
Arboda Flats.
Arboda, A-R-B-O-T-A.
Okay. A-R-B-O-D-A, Arboda.
Okay, is that a word?
Yeah.
It
Lots
is now.
LLC. And so the developers agreement, we have, since I sent out the agreement last week, we've had some negotiations back and forth between the two. I'll show you what the changes are in just a second here, as soon as I pull that up. There were just a few. One was a concern about whether or not if there were certain units that were, I'm trying to get this to show up on screen here, so I apologize. Share. Thing on the screen.
Nothing to do with the video not selected.
Don't know if that will work or not, but we can try. No, it doesn't seem to work either.
Do you want to read through the changes?
Yeah,
I'll just read through the changes. Yeah. So on page 1, the entity has changed names from Vision LLC, we might remember, our Vision INC rather, to now Arboda, A-R-B-O-D-A Lofts LLC. And so that was the change that was on page 1. And then also on Article 1 in the definition section, under developer, of course, we also reflected the change in name.
Are they listed as an, it says then the change of name and then it says and any affiliate. I've got it. Same Arboda. Yep.
Article 1, item J. We eliminated the 5 of which will be available or rented to households earning income at or 60 below. And we have changed it to, at the end of J, say, and the terms of this agreement. Our item number K, we changed the project assistance to say, yeah, go ahead.
Well, would you prefer that we hold questions or can we ask?
Yeah, let's hold questions because I think that some of these questions might be in further changes.
Okay.
There's just been a couple of changes. On our item number K or item K under project assistance means collectively the workforce housing development funds and HRA funds, because of course the $100,000 contribution through ARPA funds that we still retained for this project. We are eliminating in that same sentence the word HRA fund. And in its place, we're replacing it with value of property as determined by the Cook County assessor at the time of execution of this agreement.
I'm sorry, that's under K, so could you read out how paragraph K now reads?
Yeah, project assistance is underlined, means, comma, collectively, comma, the Workforce Housing Development Program funds, the HRA funds, and the value of property as determined by the Cook County assessor at the time of execution of this agreement.
Okay.
Okay. Scrolling through Article 2, no changes. I feel like I'm back in the legislature when we're doing markups for final passage. And Article 3, under project plans. Well, computer is still trying to catch up here. No changes. Article 4, construction, no changes. Article 5, project assistance. Scrolling through that, I don't believe there's any changes. Article 5, yeah. In Article 6 itself, there are some changes. Under operating covenants, we have added now a couple of different things. And so if we go to item, let's see here, C, I'm sorry, B rather. Everything is intact. At the end of the last word, as you see it, it would be, let's see here, including tenant affidavits attesting the applicable tenant conform with income requirements. Then we have an addition. In the event the developer, after developing good faith marketing efforts to qualify applicants for a period of not less than 60 days, is unable to secure a qualified applicant for designated affordable units at the required income level, developer may lease such unit to the next available qualified applicant at market rate, provided the developer leases the next available unit of equivalent size to a qualified applicant. Notwithstanding the foregoing, comma, an applicant whose household income exceeds the applicable 60 to 80% AMI maximum by not more than 10% shall be deemed a qualified applicant for the purposes of satisfying this article, provided all the other program eligibility requirements are met. So before I go to C and letter B, what basically is happening is if the developer in the future cannot fill a unit for a qualified applicant at that 60 or 80% AMI, we're allowing them to sell that unit at market rate. And then if, when that is filled by somebody with market rate, then another unit of an exact same qualifications becomes available, and then that will revert to a market rate that was otherwise 60 or 80% AMI. In addition to that, what also we're doing is we're allowing a little bit of that flexibility. Now, we've had this discussion before with the Heights, and we've previously had this discussion at Gunflint View. I'm working with our legal counsel to have such a policy that will actually be voted upon in August here. They're working on that currently right now, but this is the first time you'll actually see this in a document in a more permanent form. In the past, it's been more of an agreement. With Gunflint View is between Jason and the folks at PNR, and with the Gunflint View, it was between myself and the folks at Cook County Real Estate Fund. Okay. On numbers or letter C, we are including changed market conditions, colon, if either party reasonably determines the material and unanticipated changes in market or economic conditions are likely to materially impair the project's continued financial viability, the party may provide written notice describing the relevant circumstances together with reasonably available supporting financial information and any proposed modifications to this agreement. The parties shall therefore meet and confer in good faith regarding reasonable amendments intended to preserve the project's financial viability while maintaining the material public purposes and benefits of this agreement. Nothing in this section requires either party to agree to any particular amendment or require the HRA to provide additional financial assistance. Any amendments shall be the subject to applicable law, funding source requirements, and all required approvals of the parties, comma, and shall become effective only when set forth in written. Ooh, my computer. Hold that thought. It switched pages on me. Okay. Six. Here we go. Okay. The parties shall therefore meet and confer in good faith regarding reasonable amendments intended to preserve the project's financial viability while maintaining the material public purposes and benefits of this agreement. Nothing in this section requires either party to agree to a particular amendment or require the HRA to provide an additional, there's where we left off, financial assistance. Any amendments shall be subject to applicable law, funding source requirements, and shall required and all required approvals of the parties, and shall become effective only when set forth in a written instrument executed by both parties. Period. Unless and until the amendment becomes available. I'm sorry.
Jeff, just a
becomes
clarifying
effective.
clarification on that, Jeff. So that what you just read is a new paragraph C that replaces that precedes the utilities.
Correct.
And it's saying that so if economics it basically saying on a one-off basis they can request release from the conditions of the development agreement, but that's not is that I don't know if you want me to hold the questions or not, but I find that confusing about whether that the saying that does not require that does not consist of an amendment or doesn't require an amendment to the agreement, because then I wonder what happens to the agreement going forward if you've made some exceptional changes.
Yeah, so what really has happened is that we had negotiated, they were looking for some SAHA funds, which we cannot, because we are in a point where we are receiving as many funds from the state as we can give out sustainably. It's $1 is that we're expending right now. And so instead of getting those SAHA funds to help subsidize the EMI rents at 68%, what we're allowing for is, and what we've agreed to is up to 10 years of those 80% preserved rents or $100,000 upfront for upfront development costs related to those ARPA funds that are available that have to be spent by the end of this year.
So the 60% references this. So the 60% tranche is basically removed, and we now have 80% for longer period. Is that I guess I'm trying to understand what's the new deal?
It would be both 60 and 80%. This is just a preservation of that in the agreement. And if for some chance it ends up being that it isn't financially viable to continue with that, we would be coming back to the table to discuss in good faith what would we do going forward on that.
But not amending the agreement.
Correct.
Wait, I didn't mean to interrupt. You can go.
You're fine.
I'm confused.
Nope, these are fine questions. And if you had a question before too, we can go back to it. Otherwise, maybe we'll keep going. And then utilities becomes D as a result of that. Article. Sorry, my laptop kind of wants to keep jumping around here. We were on Article 6. So utilities on page 9 now becomes D. On page 10, if my laptop will go that far, my goodness. It doesn't want to go past 10. Here we go, 10. License and permits becomes E. Obey all laws becomes F. The next one is payment of taxes, which is G. Assessment fees and charges rather become H. Obligations and claims become I. On page 11. It really wants to keep messing with me here today. Page 11, here we go. Article 7. There's no changes to that. Here, moving on, Article 8, nothing, Article 9. Insurance, there are no changes to that. For page Article 10 now, page. Article 10 on page 20. B, letter B, public parties remedies for developers defaults. 4 is eliminated, seeking reimbursement of WHDP funds or HRA funds advanced under Article 5, as well as reimbursements of the value of the property at the time executed by this agreement as determined by Cook County Assessor. Instead, we have a new 4, which is seeking reimbursement of the property assistance. And on page 21,
Is property assistance defined above as including the MHA, the WHDP funds and HRA funds? Is that just is that a substantive change or is that just a wording change?
Project assistance is what the K in the first section refers to it as.
correct.
Project assistance means all that.
It's a change based off of consistency from the.
Yeah, no, I didn't know if that was a deal change or wording change. It's just a wording change.
Yep, just, yeah, semantics really, yep. Let's see here on page 21. We don't have any changes there with Article 10. Article 11. Nothing. Article 12, no changes. I think we're getting to the end. Article 13, no changes. Article 14, no changes. Article 15, no changes, with the exception of now on page, I'll get there.
At the developer name.
Our page numbers don't match your page numbers.
Good point. Okay. On my page 26, in the case of developer is now Arboda Lofts LLC.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
On page 27, I'm sorry, Article 18, I think is where we're at now. Yep, 18, 19, and 20, there are no changes. 21, there's no changes. 22, 23, and 24, there are no changes. 25, no changes. And then we get to the end there,
Yeah, signature.
the signature pages, and kind of from there. Exhibit D on my page 37 has been formatted. The form of income certificate compliance certificate itself, at the end of what you have, we also included notwithstanding the foregoing, comma, an applicant whose household income exceeds the applicable 60 or 80% AMI maximum by not more than 10% shall be deemed a qualified applicant for the purposes of satisfying this article, provided all program eligibility requirements are met. This is kind of a consistency change from above when we were talking about catalyzing the I guess, for lack of better words, the wiggle room that's available for folks to get into an apartment that's affordable for their needs. Exhibit E. Let's see here. Doesn't look like we've made any changes there either. And Exhibit F, no changes there either. And Exhibit G, no changes either. So maybe this is a good time to pause, Mr. Chair, and take any questions from what we've discussed already.
All right, well, first, I'd like to move approval of the resolution before you do the discussion, I mean, just generally kind of a pro form from Robert's rules, if I remember them correctly. And I would move approval of resolution 26-25 with the insertion in the now therefore be it resolved section that the Housing and Redevelopment Authority, Cook County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the development agreement between the HRA and Arbota LLC project at 1800. I would, after Arbota LLC, I would add in substantially the same format as the attached modifications, or no, excuse me, in substantially the same format as attached. However, modifications may be approved if needed by the chair, approval of the chair and vice chair. I'm setting that up just so that if there are further things that get noticed and need to be corrected, there's a way of doing that, but taking at least without having another formal board meeting, but putting it in the hands of Commissioner O'Brien and me. And I'd be happy to entertain any discussion on that aspect of it. But I did talk to our counsel, Chris Verda in Duluth, and he said he adds that to a lot of his work like this to just allow some future flexibility if it's called for. So that would be my motion. It would to approve this resolution with that added to it. And we'll count on
I'll second the motion, just with the comment that if that happens, I'd like the board to be informed
Oh, yes.
before you finish it.
Yes.
That's fair.
That's yeah, we can add that as well. Been moved and seconded. All right, we have questions on some of the aspects here. Commissioner O'Brien.
A few things. One I've already raised with Jeff, which is that, the construction Article 5, I believe, includes language that there's an automatic delay, that in the event of a force majeure event or something, that there's an automatic delay of 180 degrees or 180 days or more in the required construction deadline period. That's very reasonable. I just want to, and Jeff has a voicemail in to confirm with MHA that there's a matching provision on their side, that the funding would, in the event of force majeure. I just want to make sure we're lined up there. We don't risk approving an extension and then being short of the 1.3 million. So that's one. Second, I want to question. Maybe I've seen this elsewhere, but do we have financial information about Arbota? And I mean, do we have to just give us comfort that of the developer's own finances, or what? I don't have much background on Arbota.
Yeah, and maybe it would be best to also include in our discussion today. We do have Ryan Nelson on the phone here, right, or on the internet, rather. And maybe Ryan wants to step in and have that conversation with us today, specifically if you have any questions about that. I have seen a bank letter which says that they're working on the funding with the bank in Duluth. But maybe Ryan, are you available to step in and have that conversation?
Yeah, happy to.
Thank you.
So Ryan, this is Commissioner Chris O'Brien. Just curious what has been provided in the way of your demonstrating your financial capability.
To this project specifically, at this time, we haven't been asked for any financial information that would really pertain to just this project, but I can say the history. We've done 14 developments since 2016 and been successful at each one of them. developed over 1,000 units since 2016. So this project would definitely be a viable project for us and not have any issues to get financial backing or have the ability to provide the equity that's needed to do the project. But willing to provide information as you guys would request, I guess.
Thanks. It would be useful to, if we had that to share it.
Yes.
That's
I mean,
helpful.
just
In terms of
little-
your experience.
a little background, I guess. We did do the Gunflint view. I was the one that was originally involved with that from the beginning and followed through with it and got that project completed. So that project speaks of some of the success that we've had.
So maybe the question, at least the question in my mind is the creation of the LLC of Arboda Lofts. That's sort of to protect your parent company from legal liability down the line somewhere. Is that why does that happen? And why didn't we hear about it before today? That's my question.
Well, it took us a little while to dig up a name that we thought was best fitting for that, and this whole thing's been moving, pretty quickly, but also, there's been some things that we've felt pretty good about moving forward with it, but also we've been a little not, I guess we've done everything we could up until now to get to the point of the development agreement. But we also have other things going on, so it's taken a little bit of time to be able to get responses back to Jeff and make this all come together as quickly as it has. So there's no real there's no real reason for the name change, other than it was just the creation of the actual entity, and Vision was the developer and will still be the developer, but Vision won't own this property. This property will be owned by, two individuals. One of them is part of Vision, one of them isn't. And it does allow us to have, protection in the future in case of something happens on the property or whatever it is. It just allows us to have protection.
And who are
Thank
the
you.
general partners of the partnership or the partner?
So the partners, the two owners will be Ryan Nelson and Kyle Anderson, two of the owners of Gunflint as well.
Thanks.
One more.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Well, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding the 10% wiggle room provision. And just let me, as I understand it, the idea is that the the 5 units, the 5 and 6 units are set apart for 60 and 80% of AMI. But what's new is that there's if the marketing of those units is not successful in over a period of 60 days, then there's the flexibility. Then the developer has the ability to sell, lease those at market rate, and then if a new unit comes available, then then you try to market it to qualified but with the understanding that the definition of qualified. Is it only in that scenario that the definition of qualified would go up to 70 or 90%, or is it?
It would be across the board for the qualifications itself, just like how it's actually working now at Gunflint View and has since it started back in 2025, and how again with the heights as well. Yeah, but the trigger is different a little bit when it comes to the switch from the 1680 to the market rate. That is a new thing.
Right, sure.
Yeah,
And that's reasonable, but so the effective guideline, the effective tranches are really sub 70 and sub 90. Okay. Correct.
And I think the commissioners will have an opportunity to vote on the specific language of that policy at the next meeting.
Correct.
It's being drafted now in response so that it won't just be a handshake or a verbal agreement, which is what it's been up to this point for the other two projects. And I think that's progress.
I'd rather see it be something that we actually have a vote on.
I agree. I agree.
And it took a lot of digging when the request was made by the folks at the Heights to get this information so we could, like at least agree to it in principle. It took a lot of digging to find the conversation between Jason and PNR. And so when that was the case, I thought to myself, we've got to do a job of making it more permanent.
That's my concern and
Yeah.
well addressed. Thanks.
So Christopher Verta is working on that as we speak as well. Yep. So that should be next month here. We'll be seeing that one.
Great. Chair.
And further, Commissioner Johansson.
Is there, does the Minnesota Housing, Workforce Development Funds, do they trigger a prevailing wage? Are we going to have a surprise with that again, or is that known?
Yes.
He knows it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I've had a conversation with Minnesota Housing Finance Agency. They looked at the workbook that the folks over at Arboda and Vision were able to create, and it's an update on the current work or the previous workbook from the previous developer. And when Sarah looked at it, number one, she kind of does this all day long, and so she can see where the red flags are, where the places are that are on fire. She could not find any of those in principle on the first blush of looking at that, and that was a good thing. Let me tell you, that was a good thing to hear. And with that, she wanted to make sure that there were prevailing wage requirements as noted by the Department of Labor and Industry, DOLE. And so I made that request, or that, that was part of the calculations. And Shannon Grayson responded from and on behalf of Vision and our board of Lops, saying that that's the case.
Okay.
That they're included. Yeah.
Further questions or comments? Commissioner Gamble.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I just had a question.
Commissioner Gamble, if you could put your mic.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. The question was the proposed change language. Who reviewed that on behalf of the HRA?
On behalf of that, it was our legal counsel over at Freiberger.
Okay.
And there was a green thumbs up, and it was changed at about 11 o'clock this morning. So that's how fast and furious this negotiation has been, and the process of legal stuff, and a couple of holiday vacations, not mine, but with other folks and stuff. And so, things are happening in the summer, right? We're human, we have plans and that sort of thing. So this is literally breakneck speed that we're able to get this accomplished. And I have to commend a lot of people in this process to be able to get to this point today. And I'm really thankful that we're able to get as much accomplished as we're able to get.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I think that thanks goes to the developer as well. So anything further you'd like to add?
I don't have anything further other than just telling you guys I appreciate the opportunity today to be in front of you, and also, appreciate the trust in the HRA that we could come up there and provide another 16 units of housing for the Grand Marais.
Thank you for that.
Thanks. It's moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Nope. Just Brad.
I would propose one additional amendment to the developers agreement. As I was saying today, we've been moving at a breakneck speed. I just received a sketch from the surveyor on this property. To be fair, I don't believe that the developer has really had a chance to take a look at that quite yet, and how that matches with the actual plans that they have provided us. And so I want to make sure that anything that we're doing also includes their approval for what the site sketch and the site development will look like. The surveying North Shore Surveying Company, I believe, was in Administrator Roth's office about 1:30 this afternoon with the sketch in hand, showing him as well. And so I want to make sure that our partners at the city have also had an adequate amount of time to look it over and develop their feelings on this. And so what I would suggest is that we also make the approval of resolution 2625 contingent upon the approval of both the developer and the city who owns the property and are going to be conveying it to us to make sure that we got exactly the right thing for this property.
That's in addition to the development agreement.
Yeah, it's actually referenced in the developer's agreement, so
Okay.
as part of that, I want to make sure that that's included.
So noted. Commissioner Olson.
So plan approval, can you speak to the timing of that and the process and our involvement?
Yes, and so upon us continuing to have the negotiate or discussion rather, and coming to a final vote today on resolution 26-25 and 26-26, which is the conveyance. The next stop will actually be for the city council to have a discussion. I want to say that would be the third week in August. And that would be when they would take action. And then also the EDA, because they do have the $1.3 million in grant funding from the Minnesota Housing Finance Agency. They will also need to take approval at their next board meeting as well. This triggers both of those entities having their discussions about this as well. In the end, the developers agreement will be between us, the city, and the EDA. And so all three entities at some point will have to see this and take formal action. And then from there, the timeline is such that we'll continue to go through the process of conveyance of the property as fast as we can. We can do everything here. The bottom line is we don't want to hold up anything in a way that would prevent construction from starting this year. And as it stands right now, there is a possibility we could get to the point where there could be some groundbreaking before, the end of the year, I think is what we're looking at now. And then will help set us up to completion of the project before the end of 2027. And of course, January 1st, 2028 is the absolute deadline when it comes to this project for those grant funds.
Okay, so it states in the agreement, I think that there was a 30-day and a 15-day plan review that you as executive director would be performing. So what would you be reviewing? The actual designs and the lot plans, all of those documents.
Correct.
And will the board have an opportunity to weigh in?
I would hope so. That's exactly how I want to operate this, and you'll be involved in the process.
I would suggest particularly Commissioner Olson, who's got the expertise on the board to take a look at the plans.
I've already noticed some discrepancies in stair layouts and stuff I could address, but no need today.
Please send them offline to me and we'll make sure that they get addressed. Okay.
Any further questions or discussion? Call the question. All those in favor of resolution 26-25 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion carries. On to resolution 26-26 regarding conveyance of the property.
Yes, and so once we get to the point where the city council has had their amount of time that they feel comfortable with, at the point where they want to convey the property perhaps to us, and that's our hope, that's our goal, then that would trigger us having the ability to be able to convey that property from the HRA to the developer, which is again Arboda Lofts LLC. And so 26-26 basically allows for us to have that conveyance and for that legal process to continue. And the last time you saw the exact same mechanism was in 2025, I'm sorry, early 2026, after the county commissioners conveyed property to us for the purpose of building homes at the corner of Creechville and Gunflint Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's exactly the same mechanism, and we'll be using that same mechanism for this process as well. New players, but same project or same type of project. It's 16 units at 1800 West Highway 61.
So what are we approving? What was the resolution asking?
I'm sorry. So the resolution is for conveyance of real property for the purposes of constructing multifamily apartments at 1800 Highway 61.
Also move.
Is there, it's been moved. Is there a second of
Second.
motion 2626?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions of the commissioners? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor of motion, the resolution 26-26 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries. There any further business to come before the commission?
No, I just again wanted to take a moment. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Just one quick question. Jeff, do you know, I see that survey that was sent out. It didn't really list like the domestic water sizing, or it kind of has the shutoffs located on there, but I didn't see the sanitary like hookup or the sanitary sewer on there. I didn't see it, so it was real clear for us because I understand that there was a hotel there
Yeah.
prior to this. I'm assuming that the water size to that was probably not sufficient to what we're gonna need, but I just want to make sure that we got at least a 6-inch water service somewhere that runs by there, which I think I was told before that it did. And then the sewer I'm not too concerned about because obviously I think that there's sufficient sewer hookups around there. So
Yeah.
I was just curious if the surveyor could get them locations on there of where like the water main actually is. I see, like I said, I see their shut off locations, but I don't see like the actual water main or the sewer main on there. I see
Yeah.
it looks like a pressurized sewer main or something, but just curious if there could be a little more clarity on that.
I appreciate that for what it's worth, and that's part of the reason why I said let's make sure this is contingent upon approval, because you barely have seen this. I mean, literally, this is just about an hour ago. I received it, I think, 2:40, so it's now 3:58. So that's about the timing for today on this. So let's talk offline about this between ourselves and the surveyor and the city of Grand Marais.
Okay, appreciate that.
I appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
And I'm going to assume that the motion that we just made and passed includes the same language of in substantially the same form as recommended, but with the ability to approve changes by the consent of the chair and the vice chair. Okay.
Yep. And then informing the board of any of those changes.
Yes, with the form.
Well noted. Yeah.
Any other business from the commissioners or from the executive director?
I don't know.
Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Meeting's adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Adjourn and sigh from Jeff.
Busy day.
It's pronounced sigh.
Yeah.
Ryan, thank you.
Enjoy your summer.
Thank you, Ryan.
Appreciate
Yeah,
your
thanks.
quick work on this.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate everybody's time today and look forward